Prior to my experience with hospice, I thought that it was strictly end-of-life care. I didn't know anything about the other services it provided and the comfort it could bring. I just thought someone would come in and just have a nurse visit you until the end.
It would have been end of life. That's what it would have meant to me. End of treatment, end of life. I would have felt that when you finish your treatment and you're not going to go any farther, then you go over to hospice, which is purely that, end of life. It's bringing you down to the end, getting you through a journey.
Please don't say hospice yet. I would think, no, it's not time yet. Just by fear. It would be fear. It would create fear. It did create fear.
It was both my wife and I. The doctor said future or additional treatment will be futile. The tumor's growing. We can't stop it. It's time to call hospice. I refused. Said no. We're gonna continue treatment. And that's when my wife asked me to leave the room for a couple of minutes, and that's when she told the doctor, no. She'd had enough. I came back in, and there's no decision made at that time. My wife and I at that time left the hospital, and we went up to Ann's place, and we spoke to a clinical psychologist, and that was the first time I'd ever been able to talk to my wife about death. We went home. And it took me 2.5 hours to get my wife from the garage up to the bedroom. We waited for the weekend to be over, and Monday morning I spoke to her, and we called hospice Monday morning. And they were in the house within an hour.
It was presented exactly 1 week before he passed, and it was because my husband no longer wanted the visiting nurse to come and insist that he go to the hospital. He didn't want to go to the hospital. He wanted to die at home. He knew that he was dying. I don't think we all knew how close, but he did. And he asked me if he could stay at home. And I said, absolutely. And the nurse said, no, you have to go to the hospital. And I said, no. And he asked her to leave. And when she left, I called his oncologist. And I said, he doesn't want the visiting nurse to come here anymore. I don't know what to do. I'm not taking him to the hospital. He said, it's time to call hospice. And hospice was there within an hour. I called, he gave me the number to call, and within 1 hour, I had the same experience that Neil had. A nurse walked in with wings as big as the moon and helped us right to the end. Neil had that same experience, where she sat down and explained to us what was going to happen. My husband wanted to know what it was like to die. And she explained it as best she could and told him she would make him as comfortable as she could, that they all would. And it was the first time the whole family, all of us, felt that someone was there for us. Someone was going to see us to the end of it. If I had known what hospice had to give, I certainly would have called much, much sooner. Another part of what I think they need to know is that there is bereavement afterwards, and that tremendous amount of help that you need when it's over with. And that they don't just get up and say, okay, we're done now. We helped you get to the end. It's not the end. it's not the end at all. In many ways, it's just the beginning.
Sometimes when you're out or when you're with family or whatever, you can't be as emotional as you really want to be. And the bereavement group gave me that outlet. Boy, sometimes we all cried together, sometimes we all laughed together, but the emotions did flow through everybody in that group. And
True.
we learned that, we're not alone. We're not alone. It happens.
We would go out to dinner, because one of the difficult things when you lose a spouse is going to dinner with your family and there's an empty seat sitting there. And so it was a way to still celebrate your birthday, but with a group of people where there were many empty seats, but we had hearts full of love for each other, that group. We really did. And it all came about through hospice and bereavement. It did. We used to do lots of things together.
Yep.
Until,
When you go out with family or whatever, you always feel like you're a fifth wheel.
yeah, even the
And-
friends you had before.
Yeah.
It's
Friends you go
like-
out to dinner with, one of the worst things are
Yeah,
you sit down at a table for four and the waiter comes over and takes the other setting away, and
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
you just want to get up and walk out. But with the group, we all
With the
got along
group, it
together.
was
We all
great.
just
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was like when someone said, I know how you feel. You knew
No,
they
you don't.
but we knew that they knew how you felt.
I know my wife felt better because, I guess it's a psychological thing that, there's help here. There's someone else besides my husband and,
Yeah.
some other people, some friends. There's real-time help here on board for me. So I think there was a lot of psychological thing there with her about that.
And I think that was the most beautiful thing of all, that he just gradually went into the transition with all of us there, Robin the nurse, my dog, my family, from the youngest grandchild to the oldest, everybody. And he had that. I mean, he was relaxed enough to open his eyes and say goodbye to everyone. That was like wonderful. It was a gift.